every single person you interact with, legally, contractually, by some means or another, they got to have insurance. You've got it. Like, you're the dealer. Like, open up the coat. Like, hey, look what I got.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
How do you feel?
Honestly, to me, culture. I think it from, I say day one, but again, I came into it. I told you the backstory. I came into it because I wanted to be a business owner, and this was a good fit financially, insurance, all that sort of stuff. I came into an agency that was just kind of chugging along, but I still didn't lose focus. The number one thing that I said was, I'm going to build a place. I'm going to build a culture. It's just a good place. Like, it's a cool place. We're drama free. Like, you're going to come in, you're going to have some fun, you're going to make some money, and we're just going to be a family. And so now that I've actually gotten to that point where I've got the right folks in place that are doing that, that's killer. It's just so cool.
It's nice to walk into a place where you like the people that, right. And you're facilitating an environment that you want to be a part of, that you feel proud of. Nothing's worse than walking into a place that you facilitated an environment that nobody wants to be there. I've done it.
Put in yourself.
And it does not feel good. Yeah, it's the worst.
Right.
It's the worst.
I find when I'm complaining about my team or any circumstance that I'm complaining about the team, that means that I've screwed up, right? Like, I haven't put the right people there. So, it's still people. And even when they're great, sometimes it's like having a bunch of teenagers, but it also is a lot of fun to have a bunch of teenagers sometimes.
Sometimes, but listen, we all know. Listen, you get
creepy
you get salespeople in the same creepy Craig.
Not that. What?
I'm joking.
I don't think you make those kind of jokes in 2022.
I know,
Jason.
That was a very 1985 joke right there. I apologize.
On the record.
It's funny.
I derailed you.
Culture. It comes back to culture. 1,000%. It always comes back to culture. It comes back to people.
Yeah. And it is so crazy. Like, I was thinking about when you were saying that about the sales team, 9 out of 10 policies that they quote, if they were quoting 10 a day, are going to say no. Only maybe one of them will say yes, like a one call close. So they're getting beat up so much that it's super important to celebrate those wins. And it really comes from us. Like, we have to show them how excited we are so that they feel that they're doing a good job. They feel like they're doing a good, then the other people are going to celebrate it. It's like, they say the fish rots from the head, but it's so true that it really does come from us. And how you show up in your agency is how you're leading it. Like, you're showing how it should be done. And if you're showing up like crap, then everybody else is.
Yeah. Just don't go. Don't go in if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and there's no shaking it, I better not go in and be around them. It just isn't going to help. It's going to make it worse.
Chances are they'll sell more policies when you're not there.
Yeah, they do usually. It's kind of like if you went to the mall with your wife, you don't complain.
Right.
It is the most fun thing that you could possibly be doing is shopping at the mall. Right.
That is funny. My wife doesn't like
and absolutely. Yeah, mine don't either. But listen, and talk about like the downsides. You're right. They're not all going to be positive, but we start to make. I'll make a game of it. Like, if we're just kind of getting into that lull. Like, my favorite thing is I want the no. Like, I want to get the no's. I want the no like that. I want the customer to tell me no fast so I can move on to the next one. If it's 100%. Genuinely not going to be a good customer, if it's not going to be right fit, whatever the case may be, I want to know that. I want to know, and let's move on. And so we'll make a game of it. How many no's can you get? Because guess what? The no leads to the yes. And who's the first one that's going to get the F no? Like, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
Like, who's getting that one? Right?
Who's getting hung up on?
Exactly. Who's getting hung up on? And so we have some fun with it. And I think if you have the right folks that understand that mentality, then you just push through it and you keep pushing through those no's and you get to the yes. It's there. The math, 100%. Going all the way back to the math and the numbers don't lie. Yes is there, but you're going to have to get through 1,000 no's to get to it.
Love it. So I know you're using telemarketers. Like, how are they handling the activity, the failed transfers, the callbacks? How do your team handle those?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us, communication. There's a couple pieces to that puzzle, right? And here's the beauty. We've had the same telemarketer since we started with the program, which I know there's a lot of agents out there, like they switch, like they go through them just like that. They roll through them every couple of weeks. Oh, we're not getting the transfers that we want. Let's switch. And then they're still not getting it. They're still not getting it. Well, maybe it's not the telemarketer. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But for us, like maybe we just got lucky. I don't know. But we've always treated her like part of the team, right? With our team meetings, incentivizing her, the communication, like bringing her into our agency family, I think is super important. You have to. And then when you get into like the logistics, into the details and the weeds of it, like, hey, what does a callback look like? What if everybody's busy? All the transfer activity, all that sort of stuff. Like that stuff kind of works itself out because we're together like as a family. Like we're all just like, yeah, no big deal. Hey, let's put our calls on hold for 10 minutes. No problem at all. I got you. I'm going to do some callbacks. Call them back in a few minutes. Easy. That's easy stuff. That's block and tackle. Easy.
I will 100% back you on that. Like after dealing with, hundreds of agents that have been in the program, some agents don't like to be very nice to anyone, really. They're very, yeah. And like, those are the ones that are like, oh, my telemarketer. And it's like, dude, like you got to be nice to everybody. Like, I mean, these are all people, right? And some of the times with the nature of our program, it's very easy to think that somebody that's on the other side of the world calling for you to treat them like an object rather than a person. I swear every agent that treats them like a person and that they're as valuable of a person as their own family, those people never have problems with their TMs because they want to work so hard for you. But so does your staff as well. That's like right. It's a cultural thing, like the culture in your agency. If everybody's treating each other awesome, everybody is working hard for each other, and
Well, yeah. Are you the general that they're going to charge into battle with, or are you the general that as soon as you charge, they're going to start shooting at you because they're freaking don't want a piece of it?
Yeah, right. How did I get shot in the back? Like what happened?
Yeah. Well, maybe you should have been a little cooler.
It's just crazy town. And I think about, listen, what RTM, from even the worst customer service nightmare that we may have to deal with in the agency from time to time, you start thinking about like what the TMs are dealing with every single day, like people yelling at them and hanging up on them and screaming at them. And it is what it is. It's part of the game. I mean, listen, I think we all understand it's just part of the game.
Yep.
Other people on the other end of the phone don't see it like that. So what these TMs are dealing with is crazy town. And if you're an agent that's hiring this TM and you're not treating them like gold, shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. They're dealing with a lot.
And they're offloading that stuff that your agents don't want to do. And the agents appreciate that. Like the sales agents, they know, because they're making some of the calls too. And so it's,
Did you buy internet leads before you had telemarketers?
Not to the level that we do now.
Okay.
And again, I dipped my toes in coming into the business, having never had to purchase a lead or really even do anything with leads in my life. I was just kind of blind to it. And
you're a bank financial advisor.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Right. So I just had the leads like given to me. Like here's hey, Justin, here's a bank customer that's got $2 million. Go do something for him. Yeah. Easy. Right. But in this world, and so, like, oh yeah, you should do mailers. You should stamp and lick and put the stamp on there on your own. And I'm like, okay. So I tried that for a little while. I was like, why did I sent out like 50,000 mailers and I got like 10 people that called me?
Right.
Huh.
Close crazy one. Town. Yeah. Big cost of sale.
Right.
So what I'm curious about is your understanding or your perception and understanding of leads when you first came into them, and like you said, you weren't buying enough, or you just were buying a few, like what you thought you needed to do on leads at that point, and now what your understanding is of leads now.
Yeah, totally. And so the key, and I, listen, you guys preach it, and it's funny because everybody reads it, and you start looking at specifically like internet leads, and you look at that bell curve of how many contacts you've got to have before you close that sale. Mm-hmm. And you see it. Like I saw it from day one. I'm like, oh yeah, they're telling me to call them 7-9 times first day and 10 times the second day and try emailing them, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Nobody does it. Like nobody's doing that.
Right.
Nobody's doing that. And so until you take that to heart and understand, like, this internet lead, if I really do what I'm supposed to do with it, like that contact ratio, after I've tried calling them 75 times and I finally got that sale, like, yeah, that's where you got to be. And so I think that's the range that I've seen of understanding the lead flow and the recycling of that lead, and gotta contact them. You just, and again, I don't know that a new agent, or even agents that just have no idea about internet leads in general, they don't really understand what the contact rate has to be to get the ROI that you're looking for. They just don't get it until they get it.
What do you think their understanding is?
Well, again, I as an owner, I think a lot of owners probably think, well, I'm going to buy this internet lead. I'm going to send it off to my sales agents. They're doing their job. Oh yeah. They're trying to call that person 10 times today. They're calling 10 times tomorrow, 10 times the next day. Here's a little secret for you. We're all agency owners, and I've seen it. Your agents aren't doing that. You may
100%.
think they are. And so unless you have a definitive process, i.e. something like teledudes, telemarketing, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
If you don't have a definitive process, it doesn't happen, and you're not going to get the ROI on that lead that you're paying for.
Right.
It's not even worth it. You're literally burning money. If I'm going to spend $5, $10, so I've seen internet leads $30. I mean, these people, I see agents all over the place. They spend $30 for an internet lead. They're like, well, I tried calling them. Nothing happened. I didn't get anything from it.
So leads suck.
Right.
The leads suck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, really? Crazy.
Yeah. $30, then it does suck because it won't ever pencil. But like, I think that there's this misalignment in understanding that a lead isn't a purchase, right? Like, a lead is just a name with some information on it. Now you got to work on it, right? And I think that's where that misunderstanding is. It's like you said earlier, you got to hand it to the ladies that are making these dials. I mean, they're calling at night, right? They have kids and they're calling all night long. They're hustling. They're doing what nobody here will do. And they're still met with a large amount of resistance, right? On leads, purchased leads of somebody who said they want a quote. Yeah. Right. So even when they make contact, it's still hell no, go to hell, I hate you, whatever. Right. And I think that's this huge misalignment and understanding of what leads really are. Yes, that person did fill out the thing and is requesting information or wants a quote or whatever, but that was 5 minutes ago. They don't want it anymore. Right. Or because they got 10 phone calls, they don't want it anymore. And I think there's a huge disconnect there. Like I guess it's a misassignment of intent, right? Like agents think a lead means that person is ready to go.
You're exactly right. If I buy that lead, they're going to do business with me.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
Right.
It just doesn't work like that. You look at all these other types of lead generation sources. Listen, mailers, I think are a great example. When you buy 50,000 mailers and you buy 100,000 mailers, and you're spending a ton of money, right? I think for a lot of people in their mind, they're like, I'm doing some good marketing. Like, this is going to work. I'm putting this out in the world and people are just going to make my phone ring off the hook.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. We know that.
Right. Yep. I do want to kind of switch gears before we end because we started off with something that was pretty cool. Talk about your YouTube channel that you're doing for your agency.
Yeah. So I started, a year and a half ago. I don't even know when. And by no means did I ever create anything like that to be like mainstream, to go viral or anything like in that sense of the word. What I really wanted to be able to do, I just saw as I spoke with people, as I listened to the customers, as I listened to prospects, people just in general have no idea what's really happening in the insurance world. And to be fair, insurance can be pretty complex, right? But there's things when somebody doesn't know like what a deductible is, when you say the word your premium will be, and they're like, what's that word premium? Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy to me. So I started putting out some really basic information like, hey, here's a deductible. Here's what bodily injury coverage is. Here's what rental car coverage looks like. Here in South Carolina, hey, here's some things about a hurricane preparation. Here's some things you think about. Here's flood insurance. So again, quick hits, super quick. a minute or two. For the most part, people's eyes glaze over after too long. So again, listen, I'm not getting like thousands, tens of thousands of views, but it's out there. It's a resource. And I think it's good that it comes from like just a regular kind of guy. Like I'm a guy in our community. It's not coming from some big corporate insurance website. Like, hey, here's the real take on it. I'm just a local agency owner. Take it or leave it. So that was kind of the genesis of it.
Yeah. What's the name of the channel? Because we'll link our the Insurance Dudes channel to it.
All right, super tough. You ready?
Yeah.
Farnsworth Family Agency.
Oh man,
super tough.
I remember that.
I went way out on a limb. I mean, I was super creative. I took weeks. It did focus groups, you name it.
Yeah, that was the one that tested best in the focus groups.
That was it.
The reason why I wanted to bring that up was because, I mean, if you're doing it just to get leads, especially if you're a captive, it's going to be very difficult, right? There's a lot of work that needs to go into that to have that as a big lead generator. But one of the craziest things, and so this goes back to like Craig and I doing this silly podcast. And prior to doing that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff now on the internet from us. And when I hire for the agency or I hire for another, business that I'm doing, like people research on the internet and they're like, oh, I saw this video of you and you said this and it like pretty cool, man. And I'm like, what are you like? I don't even remember saying that, but there's a level of legitimacy being out there in the digital world and having some sort of presence elevates your status somehow in the eyes of the other person. So I think it's just such a
Kardashian.
I think it's such an important thing that like, there's a few things. Here's another thing. When we started buying a lot of internet leads, I really started looking at that Google My Business. And then we were up to like a couple thousand views a month that were people that were researching the agency, that because we're buying the internet leads, we're making the calls, we're saying who we are, and then they're researching it. So I think in this game, it's like another layer that is incredibly important, especially going into 2023, that I think most agents need to just do. Put some good out there in the world and put it on, YouTube, or start a local podcast or something to just get out there and just know that when you conduct business, whether you're hiring someone, whether, somebody's looking you up because you're trying to sell them something, they're going to see it. And what you're putting out there, and if you're putting out there with things with your vision and your values, the people that have the same values are going to be attracted to it. You're going to have those people in your world because you put out some of that stuff. So I think it's really important. Yeah. Super important. Yeah, I love absolutely. That you're doing that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, what's really funny, thinking back to the truly kind of where it came from, brand new agent, you get hit up from all angles. And so one of our local news stations, they'll come out and you got to pay them. It was a ridiculous amount of money, but they'll come out and they'll do a production for you. So you sit down with one of their anchors. Hey, here's Justin Farnsworth Family Agency. What's going on in your world? All that sort of stuff. And I thought to myself, I was like, what? I mean, that's cool, but I can do that. Like I could put out a couple minute videos. Like I can buy some lights. Like that stuff's super cheap.
Right.
And to do the digital presence, I don't have to pay thousands of dollars to have this production deal. So that's where it started. Yeah.
And it's always on YouTube. Like it's going to be there forever. Like
absolutely.
I don't think people realize how important that, like if you're going to be in this game, in any game where you're going to be a business owner, if you don't have some sort of social media presence, and I don't mean like the TikTok. So I like TikTok, but that stuff goes away. So, I mean, you have to have a real process, you have to spend some money to have a process behind you putting out content. But on the smaller level, there's things that you could do. There's Google My Business, like post some stuff on there, it will stay there forever.
And it's got to be consistent.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the key. So I set aside. So if you go look at all my social media profiles, GMB, like that, to me, those are free lead sources.
Free.
And it's crazy how much business we actually generate just from that stuff, like just the local free social media stuff. And I spend maybe 15 minutes a week. I mean, it's just nothing.
Right.
And the ROI on that stuff, again, because it's free, you have to put in the time to learn it up front. But then once it's going, like it's just a machine.
It's great
and it's easy.
But Google My Business and YouTube, those are search engines. So, and those are going to be out there. So even though you're doing it somewhat consistently, it's like, it's there, like it's going to stay there. And people, when they search, it's going to be there. That's why I love those kind of platforms. And it really doesn't take a long time to learn that stuff. And I think one of the other things is it goes really well with doing what you're doing. Like you're buying a lot of leads and you're making a lot of calls. So a lot of people are searching you on the internet. So it all goes together. Like it increases your close rates, like things that you don't see. There's indirect effects of doing that we all don't see. But after doing this for years now, I've seen it. Like you feel the effects of it. You hear like little chatter, like, our agents did that. Like our agents used to always send out Yelp and send out our Google stuff. Like, I know you don't think it's legitimate because we're calling you, but check this out. Like, this is our reviews and blah, blah, blah. And here's one of the posts that they used that I got 5 stars, and like, oh, okay. And it instantly flips from you're a scam to, wow, you're legitimate. Like that's more legitimate to them than like, here's my insurance license number for some reason, Yeah.
I mean, listen, the quickest, you want to talk about a super quick hit, and this is for any agency owner out there. The second you get a 5-star review, go to Canva. Yep. It's free. It'll take you 2 minutes to create just a little graphic of it and highlight it. Like throw that out on social media. Like look at this 5-star review. It's killer.
You could screenshot the 5-star review on your phone, put a little square around the 5 stars and put, ooh, wow, we're awesome or whatever. And then upload it to your Google My Business. And it's a picture of a review. Right. And you could do that every day.
Go look at my GMB every week.
Just take one picture of one review. Boom.
Absolutely. Yep.
I love it.
I think I stopped getting consistent with it.
Going into 2023, these are things that if you really want to set yourself up for success, like doing these things, it's just like everything else. Like this is what I was thinking earlier when you're talking about how 2021 sucks so hard, right? And then you're getting into the leads and it's just nothing's working, blah, blah, blah. There is this like exponential curve where you're just doing all this stuff. Even when we did this podcast, it was like, 5 people are listening. Okay, next week, maybe, 5 people are still listening. The week after that, 6 people. Like, but it hits a curve at some point. It does. And it's the same thing with leads. It's the same thing with all this game, is that it's like you're slowly going up and everybody sees this curve of like slight incremental, growth. They're like, this is never going to work because I see this curve of growth and it's so insignificant. But then all of a sudden, at some point, if you're consistent with it, with anything that you're doing, it hits this curve and you start really picking up speed.
Yeah. The podcast was like nothing forever, a year, right? Over a year. And then crazy. And then our YouTube was 3 years to get to 1,000. Now we're at almost 4,000 or over. I don't even know now. It goes up so much every day.
It was over, then it was under the YouTube rhythms. But yeah, that was another good example. 3 years to get to 1,000 subscribers. And then within like 4 months, it went to almost 4,000.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So you
4,000.
But like if it caps off, who cares? Like it's out there. It's there. It's on a search engine. It's searchable. But like, man, everybody like do some extra stuff on the internet. Like people are looking, people are looking, especially when you're hiring. If you have some videos out there and stuff and the agency down the street has filing cabinets and nothing on the internet, like they ain't going there.
Good luck.
They're going to Farnsworth.
Good luck.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll take them.
Yep. So it's like, just do it. And it's fun. Like you don't have to post a crap ton of stuff. Invest an hour a week in it. Just do it. So a couple final questions. Where do you see our agencies? Like, what do you see some threats and advantages going into 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, that's a good one. Listen, I think at the end of the day, it's all going digital. But I genuinely, even talking to the 20-year-olds, these kids coming up nowadays, what I really have found, what I think they genuinely want when it comes to more complex stuff, and I saw it on the wealth management side as well. Wealth management, insurance complexities, like these complex topics, people want an expert. They want local folks. And so I think we've got to think digital, right? So we're talking about internet leads. We're talking about the process of how we bring all these people into our agencies. But on the other side of that, for the end user, we are 100% still going to be viable resources. And I think if we think about it like that, then we absolutely, it's still an open world. There's so much opportunity out there. It's unbelievable. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Every single person you interact with, legally, contractually, by some means or another, they got to have insurance. You've got it. Like, you're the dealer. Like, open up the coat. Like, hey, look what I got.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that anymore.
Not anymore.
You can't open the coat?
2023.
No,
Craig got arrested.
2022, you do it, right?
I see a bunch of watches. You need a bunch of watches in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super cool, man. You at the distance. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you on here. And this was really good. There was some really good knowledge nuggets for people to grab. They can go to your YouTube, Farnsworth Family Insurance for some.
Hey, if they really wanted a better show, what's really fun, go look up some school board meetings. That's
Ooh,
fun.
that sounds exciting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got some of those with you on it?
You are brave to do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm totally gonna Google.
I went to
we got some
good.
I thought at one point, it was probably about 5 years ago, I thought, you know what? I'm going to get involved with my HOA and get on the board. And I went there and I ran. I didn't get it because I just, and I'm glad I did not. It is brutal. That is terrible. It's crazy.
You couldn't pay me enough money.
No,
it's horrible. And school board especially, like you start
so much extra time on their hands.
But I will say it is I love it. Just rounding out school board stuff. I love it. It's a passion.
I'm sure that's
seeing those kids when they graduate, it's awesome.
That's great.
That's the coolest thing in the world.
So, yeah. So go to the school board. Do not go to the HOA.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I love what you said at the beginning about the polls, going to the polls and just meeting people. People are so passionate about their party that if you can align with that, dude, like, it's like you're so in. There's so much rapport, like, there's so much connection at that point. You got it.
Polls in the champagne room.
Right.
Not those polls, Craig.
A lot of connection.
Craig.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Craig.
You're the one that brought that up.
That's because I saw your face.
Oh, did it light up? I love voting.
Dude, and I also want to acknowledge you. I know insurance agents don't get as much praise. It's very hard to run an agency. It's very hard to put good into the world, especially motivating your team and doing everything you can to like create an environment that's awesome. And you're clearly doing that. So I want to just give you a shout out, and it's awesome, man. You're doing good.
Yeah. Thank you. We're rocking into 2023.
Yes.
Dude, I'm proud of you for sticking with it, for believing in it. And I'm grateful that you believe in it because it obviously changed a lot of stuff for you, but it's tough, it's tough to commit to anything. Right. And this is definitely a marathon that requires a lot of training, but once you're running, you're good.
100%.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Well,
Awesome.
We'll see you at the next elite call, and good to have you on, man. It was really good.
You got it, Jason, Craig. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I'm excited. Like I said, I told you at the beginning, I'm just excited to be here with you two, and thank y'all for what you do.
Thanks, man.
Rock and roll.
Thank you, Justin.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
You're going to Ignite, right?
Committed. I can't. Can I say that I haven't committed yet?
That's fine.
Do you want me to?
No. Hopefully we'll see you there. I know it's a long haul from South Carolina to San Diego, but it would be awesome. It'll be great to have you there.
I did. I looked at the resort and I was like, man, that's a pretty sweet digs. It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it will be cool. Yeah, we're stoked. Cool, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all be good.